Has President Obama violated his oath of office by granting this level of legalization to illegal immigrants? Well, if he were to be put on trial, which I doubt he will be, there would be a prosecutor who would play sound bites and clips of him speaking in various venues to prove the point that he knows and that he has known that he was violating the law. Fox News put this clip together, and I'm certain that you've seen or heard sound bites like this on many networks, talk radio, etc. But I want to play it. I want to thank Fox News for doing the hard work on this. Just listen to his own words and see how they condemn his actions.
There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system.
I know some people want me to bypass Congress and change the laws on my own. If, in fact, I could solve all these problems without passing laws in Congress, then I would do so.
For me to simply, through executive order, ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as president. With respect to the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case.
This notion that somehow I can just change the laws unilaterally is just not true.
There are laws on the books that Congress has passed.
There are laws on the books that I have to enforce.
I swore an oath to uphold the laws on the books. We're also a nation of laws. That's part of our tradition. That's not how our system works. That's not how our Constitution is written. I am not a dictator. I'm the president.
So there you have it. Dictator, emperor, we're a nation of laws. He swore an oath to uphold the laws. Well, which is it, Mr. President? I have been deeply moved with compassion towards immigrants for years. And if you're a regular watcher of this program, if I can make this about me for a minute, you will notice that I have very rarely ever just hammered on the issue of illegal immigrants for two distinct reasons. One is there's 12 million of them here. We do not have the infrastructure. We do not have the money. We do not have the resources to deport them. So that's number one. Number two, there is the issue of compassion. And there is the issue that many of these illegal aliens have come here. They've born children here who are now, because of our Constitution, American citizens. So what are we going to do? Send their parents back? In other words, this really is a crisis. It's a conundrum. But we got to this mess because Obama refuses to build a fence. We could have stemmed the tide of illegal immigrants, the wave, the tsunami of illegal immigrants that crossed from our southern border, if we'd have made the southern border like the northern border, or like the ports in New York City or Los Angeles. In his speech, President Obama mentioned the fact that immigrants are coming from Europe over the Atlantic, they're coming from the Pacific Rim over the Pacific. And then he talked about the Rio Grande, people coming from the south. But people coming from the east and from the west, they have to go through ports of entry where they're dealt with accordingly, where they're dealt with according to the rule of law. An ocean, by definition, is the fence. And the Rio Grande, by definition, is not a fence. And they chose to not put up a fence to protect the southern border. So they have brought us to the place where this crisis exists by their negligence, by their refusal to spend the time and resources at that end. So now we've got this problem. Well, the problem needs to be addressed. It really does. And it needs to be addressed legally, which means it needs to be addressed by Congress with a bill, with a law that President Obama signs. That's the issue. And so the question that is before us, and I will talk about this in the next segment, is whether or not President Obama has committed an act worthy of impeachment. And it's almost too much to ask Because you're thinking, well, all he's trying to do is help immigrants. Well, that may be true. It may be that it's a political thing and he wants to bolster the ranks of the Democrat Party. Either way, whatever his motivation is, that's not the question. That's not the issue. The issue is, did he violate his oath of office? And what will the Republican leaders in control of the U.S. Senate and in control of the U.S. House do about it if he did? I'll be right back. Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today.